both Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So if you are on either Facebook or YouTube, please do just say you're here, because that would be lovely to see you. I should be able to see the chats. I'm just going to check I can see the Facebook one, because it's not always easy to do that, to be absolutely honest. Oh, now it wants me to log in. Why? It's interesting. It always asks me to log in for some strange reason, just when I thought I was already logged in. So let me find the page, and then I think I have to change my profile. This business profile thing is a bit of a pain, actually, but never mind. Let's just get into there, and then hopefully, yes, I am live and I can see comments, so that's great. Lovely. So if you want to pop comments down, I should be able to see them. Once I get into crafting, I won't always sort of glance up and see them, but hopefully I can see them both. So if you're joining me today, today is the 9th of March. Sorry I wasn't here last week, but hopefully we'll get into a regular habit with these now. Perhaps every week, hopefully. Usually on a Thursday at 10:30, apart from the weeks that I'm going to do in-person classes. And obviously, if you live locally to me, you're very welcome to look at and book some of those. Sign up for my email on craftycarolscards.co.uk, because that will give you the information. I send out an email every week that just tells you about what my classes are and what I'll be doing. So now I've got over a little bit of family business that took me away a bit. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get a bit more organised and plan these a bit better. But today, what do we want to show? Get rid of that because I don't need that there. It is, I need to show you my desk. Let me just put my desk up there, and then you'll see me in the corner here again. So here's my desk. It's a little bit skew. Let's just try and straighten that up a little bit. It's a little bit better. Okay, hopefully that's straight enough. So I wanted to think about the interesting things that are coming up. And obviously we have got St. Patrick's Day next week. Big over here, of course. I'm in Northern Ireland near Cacoven. And on the Sunday, of course, it's Mother's Day. So I'm going to make today some St. Patrick's Day cards. And I shall also be making a Mother's Day card, which is going to go up on my website in my blog. It'll be probably early next week as part of the Tech for Stampers blog hop. But I'm going to do a Mother's Day card along the theme of springtime. And spring always reminds me of Mother's Day, so it seems a good idea to do a Mother's Day card for that. But today we're going to do some Lucky Clover cards. So do let me know if you're actually watching this, and I can actually hopefully see if people put any comments up. I am going to keep an eye on that. I hope why is this not, just checking my Facebook feed. For some reason, it's not gone into my page. It's just gone into, I don't know where it's gone, into the news feed or whatever those are called. So, there we go. There's that. So I can see the comments there, which is great. And I can also see any comments on YouTube. So do let me know if you're watching. But I wanted to use this lovely stamp set, which comes as a bundle. It's called the Lucky Clover stamp set, and it comes with the Lucky Clover punch, which is obviously of a gorgeous four-leaf clover. So I thought I would talk you through the process I've gone through to think about these cards, because quite often it's great to watch things like on YouTube and on people's blogs and things, but where do they get the inspiration from? And if you've got a set yourself, a stamp set, where do you start with inspiration? Well, obviously the stamp set itself gives you inspiration. We've got the clover that can be punched out. We've got lots of different sentiments, including Happy St. Patrick's Day, which is the one I'll be using today. And the first thing, I suppose, is to think about what colours you might want to use. Now, for clover sets, I'm always going to use greens. I am always going to use some sort of green, and I've chosen to use for this set the lovely Granny Apple Green, which is a beautiful, vibrant spring type green. If you wanted to use a slightly paler green, then something like Pear Pizzazz might be a good idea. But I've gone with Granny Apple Green for today. So I've got my matching stamp pad, my Granny Apple Green stamp pad, and my Granny Apple Green cardstock. And I've also pulled out a couple of sheets of designer series paper. Ooh, I'm losing one of my cards here. Which is actually from a set that we all got during, I hope you managed to get during Celebration, the Dandy Designs. So I've pulled out the Granny Apple Green sheets, and I've got two patterns. This one gives me a slight migraine, so I'm not using that pattern. It's a chevron one. I don't know if you can see that. It's probably going funny on the camera too, but it's a chevron pattern, a bit odd. But I quite like this side of the pattern. And I've also got these lovely stripes with the lovely dots on the back, which I also might use. So we'll think about that. So how do I get the inspiration for my cards? Well, the first place I often go is we have various demonstrator planning places, and I often get inspiration from there. But I also love to go to Pinterest, and I find a lot of great things on Pinterest. And I tend to just copy and print images that I like. So things that have used this set. So there's a few here that I've used. And they've been really great fun to have a look at. So I'm sort of using some of those ideas. The point is, if you start to look at the different cards people have made, it gives you ideas for this set. So I've got a few to make today. We'll see how we go. Let us start with, let's start with this one. I'm not quite sure what's in this one because I've got them all. Oh, yes. So this one, I've cut out all the pieces because you don't want to see me wasting time with pieces. So for this card, I've used a basic card base, which is of our basic white cardstock. I've already stuck that bit in. And this is 21 centimetres by 14.8 centimetres, scored in the centre at 10.5. And then I have done layers for the front from the Granny Apple Green cardstock, and these pieces are just half a centimetre smaller each way. So that is actually 10 by 14.4, 14.5. And then for this one, I've also cut out one of the pieces of DSP and already stuck it on. That piece, I can't remember how broad I made it, 5 centimetres. So 5 centimetres, half the width, times the 14.4. And I've just stuck that on. And that is going to be stuck on the front of my card here. And I've already stuck this piece inside. And an additional layer, another half centimetre smaller. So that is 9.5 by 13.8. And just a little bit of a, let me just get my scissors to make that better. I've just got a little tiny tail off the end of that card. So just snip that. There we go. That's better. So this piece is going to go inside with my sentiment on. And obviously this piece is going to go on the front. So I've also cut out using one of the lovely stylish shapes dies. I've cut out the largest, I think this one is, the circle, because I want that to be the focal point on the front of the card. And I'm going to put a Lucky Clover stamp on that. So I've got some scrap card here that I can use for stamping. I shall need more. So I have my stamps. I'm going to get these out. I'm going to need my large, my large stamp. Should have got my blocks ready earlier, sorry. Just reach across to get those. So I'm going to have my large stamp. I need my St. Patrick's Day stamp to do my sentiment across the middle of the card. So I'll put that on. That is Happy St. Patrick's Day. I also want the sentiment for the centre, and the one I'm going to use is this one. A good friend is like a 4-leaf clover, hard to find and lucky to have. So I quite like that. I can use, actually I might use Sending Luck and Love. I'll probably use both of these today. We'll see. I think I might use Sending Luck and Love. I can get that one off too. Sticking to my card base. Yeah, I might have that one, Sending Lucky and Love. And I also want to use the small 4-leaf clover stamp as a decoration for inside and for my envelopes. Never forget to decorate your envelopes, folks. So I'm going to get going with this. Let me just check there's no comments I need to see. No. Do let me know if you are watching. I'd like to think there's somebody there, somebody out there. Right. So first thing I'm going to do is stamp the inside bit of my card. A bit bent on that corner. I obviously caught it with something. That's not good, but it'll stick in all right. So, oops. And I'm going to use my Sending Luck and Love, the inside of the card. So I'm going to stamp it up by tapping very gently on the stamp pad. Our stamp pads are so inky, you do not need to press on our gorgeous stamp pads. They're really easy. So that's Sending Luck and Love, which I'm going to put in the middle there. And I'm also going to put in some more of my clovers. So this is the small clover stamp. So I'll ink that up. Oh, didn't go the corner. And we're going to have a couple of those dotted around on my inside bit. And while I have got that, let's get a few of these out because I'll need them. While I've got that stamp out, I'm going to do my envelope as well. I don't like a naked envelope. Nice way to do envelopes is you can cut a piece for the back of the DSP, and the easy way to do that is simply to use your envelope as the outline. Let me show you how to do that. I can find my pencil, which seems to have vanished. There we go. So if I want to do this on the back, I can use the flap of the envelope as my template, draw around it carefully with my pencil. So I've got my mark where the envelope is, and then I can use my scissors to just cut round, and I cut slightly inside the line, but I can follow it all the way around. Noise of me cutting through paper. Just cut that off there and then finish this curve around here. So this piece now fits across my envelope flap. So I can stick that on, do that now actually, and then you can see how my envelope is decorated. And I shall also put some chamois on the front, of course, or some clovers, some 4-leaf clovers. So just a little bit of Tombow over there. Want to use Tombow because I want the wriggle room. I don't get it exactly lined up to start with. So there we go. And there is my envelope decorated with my DSP. And then on the front, I'm going to use my clover again. Just have a little something in the corner. I think I'll do these 2 corners here. There we go. So there's my envelope decorated. So now it's a matter of finishing here. So this is my inside piece. So I'm going to stick that one in. I know that quite a lot of people that would normally join me today for various reasons can't. One, because she, lucky thing, is on holiday in Canada. How lovely. And another of my friends, unfortunately, has to go for some tests at a hospital, which is, I wish her all the best. Hopefully she'll be okay for later. I'll see her this afternoon. I've got my reading group this afternoon, so I'm looking forward to that. So I'd already stuck my paper on. You can do this either way. Either stick your layer on the front and then stick your paper on or whatever. And then I have my focal point. Now, before I do that, I should probably have done this before I stuck it on. I just want to add a little bit more decoration to here. And again, I'm going to use my smaller stamp. and just ink it up. And we're just going to have some random clovers all the way down the page here. Just adds a little bit more interest. If you wanted, you could use, just going to clean that pad, stamp. If you wanted, you could use an embossing folder and actually do some embossing on there. Up to you. I have a strange noise. I hope that's not coming through. Got a beepy noise. Well, I hope it's not coming through on the lives and spoiling things. So I've got my centerpiece on here, and for that I want to use my giant-sized 4-leaf clover. So I'm going to just ink them up. And stick them on here. So there he is. Just give him a second to dry while I just clean that stamp as well. There we go. While we're waiting for that to dry, actually, I'm going to use one of my strips of paper here just to stamp my greeting on. So I've got my Happy St. Patrick's Day. So just tapping the stamp. And there we have the greeting. Ready to go on. I'm just going to close this down because I'm very good at leaning in stamp pads, which is silly. Right, so this should be dry enough now. I'd just like to give it a couple of seconds to dry before I push it into a die or an embossing folder or a punch. So this is the punch, and as you can see, we'll line up. I'm just actually going to, that corner's not allowing it to go right into the punch, so I'm just going to cut that off. Then it'll go all the way in, and I can turn it. And how I like to use the punches is I line up the image and then squeeze slightly without cutting. And that just holds the paper, as you can see, in the punch. And you can just adjust it again if you think it's not quite right. When you're happy, you finish the squeeze. And there is my clover ready to go on here. So I've already got quite a lot of layers in this card with having the inside layer as well as this one. So I'm going to stick my stitched circle flat on the front, and then I can raise up my 4-leaf clover. I don't really want to put dimensionals on the circle and on the clover because that would make it a little bit too thick. So I'll stick that down, just hold it carefully because I've got a double layer on here already, so make sure it's stuck down. And then I'm going to use some dimensionals on the back of my clover, so one near the bottom, probably one on each of these leaves. Oh, I've really got a bad noise on that. I'm sorry, I don't know why that is, where it's coming from. I've got a heater on. I don't know if I've told you, but we haven't got any heat. Our boiler broke. We've got no heat on in the house, which is horrible. So I've got a fan heater going in the background, but I don't think it's that. Now I've got to decide where to put my sentiment. I think we'll just have it along the bottom. So there is my 4-leaf clover stuck on with dimensionals. So just going to have that a little bit narrower. So I'm going to just cut this by eye so that I've got roughly the same thing each end. Now, do I want to just leave it plain like that? No, I think I probably want to point in the ends, do a little thing in the ends. Now, I've got a wonderful board here which has got lots of marks on it, and I can use those to make a nice little end. So I'm going to go down the center there, so I can work out the center and just put a little mark. Do the same the other side. So put it so it's equal, and then I can come down the center, put a little mark. and then I can cut to that from the corners. And then I know my chevrons are going to be even. So you see there's the first, and there's my second. So that's how I do these. I have got an old, it's a retired now, little hexagon punch, and that's brilliant actually for these, but I have got the end of a bit of dimensional paper. I always use all the bits of the dimensionals, so I'm going to pull off those, which are going to be perfect for just sticking my sentiment on, my little edge bits. I haven't even stuck it quite in the middle, but it doesn't matter. And I'm going to have that lined up at the bottom here. So that is my first Happy St. Patrick's Day card with matching envelope that I can send to a friend. So let me move on and make another card, which I've got them all lined out here. This is another one. Again, I've cut the pieces myself. This time I've done the length of A4 by 10.5 centimetres across. So that's half a sheet of A4, scored in the centre at 14.8. So that's making me a card that will stand up, obviously pointy up that way. And for this one, I've just used a couple of pieces of DSP, and I'm going to stick them fairly randomly across the front. I'm going to use the Granny Apple Green side again. So I'm going to put one, I think roughly down that side. So these pieces can be honestly any size you want. I think I've done this one, was it 13 by, hang on, I'll just measure it to tell you. No, 13.5 by 8. And my other piece, so I've got the measurements for you, is 10.5 by 5. And I'm sticking that just down the side here. Not being too worried about whether it's exactly in the centre. I'm just going to eyeball it and stick it where I think it looks okay. I just want to make sure that it's parallel to the side. That's important because I want it to at least look straight. Not that good often at doing this. This time I've got an oval sentiment. I might be a bit big. Do you know what? I don't think it matters. So I've got an oval shape I've cut out, another of the stitch shapes from one of my many die sets. And just to add a little bit of interest, I'm going to stick some ribbon across the back. I haven't got any garden green ribbon, so I'm using, Granny Apple Green ribbon. So I'm using a strip of garden green, and I am using my ribbon scissors to cut it. It is worth having a pair of snips that you use purely for ribbon, because ribbon does, oh, I've got two pieces now. I might use two pieces actually across. So I'm just going to stick these somewhere across the middle of the card. And I will use a bit of tear and tape for that. So I think we'll have them roughly in the middle. Stick my tape on. And still no comments? No, can't see any. Perhaps there's nobody here today. And I'm just going to stick the ribbon bits on across the card. And a little crisscross. And then I can stick this on the top. I might use tape. Just a couple of bits of tear and tape rather than using the Tombow, because it will actually help hold the ribbon down. Ooh. So there we have that again. And I need to get my envelopes. I'm not going to, I might put paper on the flaps later, but for now, where's my, there we go. I'm just going to use my small stamp again, just to decorate the front of the envelope. Oh, made a slight mess of that one. I have to put another one on there just to make it look better. So I don't know if you can see here, I've just made a little boob. So all I'm going to do is use my stamp to add a couple more bits, and it hides the boo-boo. How good is that? Perhaps need to do that this side as well. Just the, yeah, that looks okay. So never worry about boo-boobs, folks. You can always do something to make them better. So I'm just going to do that for my envelope at the moment. And now I want to do this. So I'm going to punch out another large 4-leaf clover for the front of here. So I'm going to use my little stamp on the inside with my sending luck and love again. So we'll have that in the middle, and again, a couple of these just around. We'll have them there this time, just either side of my sentiment. I love these sentiments in this set actually, because they're not absolutely straight. So if I haven't stamped absolutely straight, it doesn't actually matter. So there's the middle of my card. Here's the front. So where is my... managed to lose... Oh, there's a bit. I thought I'd run out of bits of white to do the stamping and punching. So again, I'm going to use my big clover stamp and make it there. I need one more, to be honest, for my other cards, so I'm going to do that while I've got the stamp there, and then I can clean the stamp. So obviously you could use a mix of colours. I'm going with monochrome really of the Granny Apple Green. You could use different colours, you could put different backgrounds on. Just use your imagination and do what feels right to you. So again, I'm lining up my punch and then punching it out. I'll do the other one while I'm here, so I've got them both. I'll probably lose that now. It'll be somewhere on the desk and I'll lose it. So lining it up and just holding it with the punch to make sure I'm happy before I finish the punch. So again, with my card, I'm going to have this raised on dimensionals. Two is all right. I don't think I need more than that. Can be a bit stingy with dimensionals. You don't need to be. There we go. You don't want the dimensional cover on the card. There we go. And then we just need the St. Patrick's Day. So I'll get another my strips. It's amazing how often when you're doing layers you end up with strips, which I always keep because they're so useful for sentiments that are long and thin like this one. So shall I put that on? There we go. Again, I'm just eyeballing the length of it, and I'm going to use my technique for getting my point in the middle. And that's not quite straight, that end. It doesn't matter because I'm going to be doing my little chevrons. I can make it straight. You can do this by eye. I find if I do it by eye, I am hopeless, absolutely hopeless. I just cannot see where I need to be going. obviously just me. I can't cut chevrons, but I do find just making a little dot like that to give me some marker to go to means they're really about right. So I'm going to use the bits from the end bits from my other nearly used up card or sheet of dimensionals. Now, do you know what I said? Can you see what I've just done there? I've nearly dropped my I have slightly dropped my dimensionals in the ink pad. That's why it's always worth closing ink pads, folks. Anyway, there is my second card. So not nearly as thick. It'll post a lot better. That, with just one layer on there, raised, is going to go through in a normal post, because you have to think about these things nowadays. And I've done my envelope to go with it. So there's my second card. My third card, I thought I'd do slightly differently. So this time, instead of a basic white base, I've used my granny apple green base. Again, I've used 21 centimeters scored at 10.5, 14.8 across. This time I've done 2 layers in basic white, one for the inside and one for the front. And I'm going to decorate the front. And I've used the Tasteful Tags dies, can't remember, Tailored Tags dies. And I've cut out the largest one in granny apple green and a smaller one in the white. And I'm going to use these for my greeting on here. And I'm hoping, yeah, that is going to... I'll need to decide on my angle, so I'll leave that for a minute while I show you what I'm doing with the card itself. So again, I'll use the same as it's out. I didn't get the other one out, so I'll stick with this one, Sending Luck and Love. And again, I'm just going to use my little stamp. I do love this one, actually. That little tiny stamp is great. And you could cut it, you can print it and cut it out. It's not a difficult thing to cut round. It's not a difficult shape to cut out. So there's my inside bit, which I can then stick in the card. And let's not forget to do the envelope. Do that in a second. So this card, as you can see, I'm having it opening landscape way. So that's my inside. And then on the front here, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. And what we have is this stamp, which is like just lots of little clovers, 3-leaf clovers. We've also got a larger 3-leaf clover one. So this stamp does have it has some 4-leaf clovers as well as 3. So it has a mix. Just need a block for that. And I'm just going to stamp this across the centre of the card. And I'm going to use a technique called stamping off, which means I'm going to stamp it up and I'm going to have it coming across. And then I'm going to stamp it again without re-inking. And I'm just going to do this again without re-inking, just randomly across the card. So I've got a little line of my 4-leaf clovers. I might have some more on there, actually, especially as I can see there's one I've messed up and haven't stamped very well. So I'm going to stamp over that and cover it that way. I'll have some stamped off ones there. And a few more, I think. So I'm not worrying too much about where they go. I just want a sort of wavy pattern of these across the centre of the card. Yeah. Have some more on this side. And perhaps some more at the top here. That looks a bit empty, doesn't it? So we'll put a few more up there. There we go. So now I've got a strip across the centre of my card. And I'm going to change my mind. I was going to stick my Happy St. Patrick's down my tags. I think actually I might have it, might even turn it that way round. Have these going across like that, and have Happy St. Patrick's Day across the bottom. Why not? And then I'm going to use my smaller, there we go. Where's my little one? There we go. I think we'll use my smaller one over here. Can I still stick one of those on? I'll think about it. In the meantime, I'm going to stamp some of these randomly on my tag. Like that. Oop, no, press the wrong button now. Just looking to see if there's any comments that I might have missed, but there isn't. Oh, it's pouring with, well, it's sort of rain. It's sleet because there's snow in that. Ugh. Have you got snow where you are? It's been horrible, hasn't it? Then I'm just going to decide where I want that. And I thought I had got out my, oh, I don't think I have. I'm going to need to go and just look for, this is what happens with live and you haven't got everything out. What I'm going to do is, I don't want to stick these down except at the top here. So the first thing I'm going to do is stick my top tag to my lower tag near here, just making sure the holes line up, but I don't particularly want the tags to line up. I want them to look a little bit artistic. And then I'm going to, in fact, I will stick them onto my card with dimensionals. But I'm only going to use dimensionals at this end. I'm using some of the ends of my other strip. It's nearly used up now. As I say, I use every little bit of dimensions that come on the strips, come on the sheets. So I think we'll have that there. And I do think I might stick that one on. Actually, I might stick it on that one. I can't decide. Might leave it like that. Oh, what do you think? Anybody watching? Let me know what you think. I can't decide now. Yeah, I really can't decide. Anyway, I think I might just leave it like that and not have the big one on that one. Quite like that. Anyway, I need to just vanish for a minute just so I can go and get what I need to make my bow. Just a second. Just grab the first white ribbon that came to hand. Oh, it's sort of gross grain. It'll do. So I'm going to make a bow with this. Let me just get rid of this before I start staining my ribbons and dropping my ribbons in it. Making bows. I like to just use the end of the ribbon and I make 2 rabbit's ears, cross them, oops, not very even rabbit's ears, let's try again. 2 rabbit's ears, cross them over and push the top one underneath the bottom one. And that gives me a nice bow, which I can then pull the ends and decide how big the actual ears want to be. And I think for here, that's probably about right. So again, using my special ribbon scissors, I'm going to cut some quite long ends for this bow because I want to make it the focal point, really, of the tags here. Yeah, I like that. This ribbon is sticking to me. I'm just going to roll it up and put it to the side. And to stick it on, I'm going to use one of our wonderful Stampin' Up glue dots, which are super sticky, but a lovely size. So I want my ribbon to stick over my hole. So I'm putting my glue dot over my hole and then sticking my ribbon to it. There. So hopefully you can see that. I quite like that one. The sleet stopped, it's just dripping now. That was quite a heavy shower. We had snow on, what day are we today? Thursday. We had snow on Tuesday. Apparently we're getting more snow today. We'll wait and see. Don't like snow. Well, I like looking at it. I like looking at it from inside a house, but I absolutely hate driving in it. There, just realised that's not in. I haven't folded that one terribly straight, so I'm just going to adjust that. Oops. Oh, nearly pulled my bow out. That was silly. There. 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 So that gives a little bit of interest with the tags, which are now obviously not stuck down. So it gives a little bit of interest in the card without using dimensionals. And that's yet another slightly different St. Patrick's Day card. This ribbon has got twisted now because I pulled it through. So let me just untwist that and get it lying flat. I'm going to fiddle with this. I could do this later. I don't need to do this live, really, do I? But there we go. Right. So that is my third one. How are we doing for time? Not too bad. So here are the 3 cards I've made already. And I still can't see any comments. There may not be people there because I was going to do a tell me what to do card. I've got a final couple of bits of card left here. I was going to start with a plain card and a few bits and get you to tell me what you think I should do with it, but I'll make it up myself as there's nobody else there. So I've already cut out these bits. I'm going to make this an opening sideways landscape card like that. And I've cut out a plain, again, I've used, sorry, let me give you the measurements again. This is just half an A4 sheet cut at 10.5, scored at 14.8, folded in half. This is my usual half a centimetre smaller, so this is 14.3 by 10. And this is going to be my layer on the front. And then I have cut this piece 4 centimetres by 14.3. So it's a strip to go on. And I've also cut out a stitch-shaped circle, which is going to have my leaf on. But I thought, how should we decorate this? Now, one easy way would be to use an embossing folder. But before I emboss the piece, I'm going to actually, well, there's 2 ways I could do this. I can either emboss the piece or, do you know what? I'm going to show you this way because I think it's fun. So this is my base. I'm going to stick it to my card. Actually, I'm going to stamp the inside of my card first. I always like to do that before I start sticking things on the front. So I'm going to use the same inside as before. And I will do my envelopes, but I'll do them after I finish this because I don't want to bore you with watching me do envelopes. So that is my, now I'm going to use this for everyone because I rather like it. So there is my inside done. So what I'm going to do, I can either emboss this and stick it on, but I'm going to stick it on plain and show you a slightly different way that you can decorate a plain fronted card. So just stick this on first. You say, what is she doing with this one? Okay. So I'm just sticking that on. Now, obviously, I could simply stick that on and stick this on top with my sentiment. but that's going to look a bit boring. The background's too boring. So what I'm going to do is find myself some more of my card, get my punch, and I'm just going to punch out some of my lucky clovers. I don't need to worry too much about having too much of a stem on them. That's 4. Oops, my card stuck in my punch. That's 5. 7 should do, I think, which I can get from that piece of card, which is good. Get rid of the bits. I fling them towards my bin, and they've all gone all over the floor. Anyway, I'll pick them up later. So, could have stamped these if I wanted, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to show you a very easy way to shape a cutout shape, which is just to put it in your palm and press. And that just gives you a little bit of shape. So I'm going to do that with each one. Put it in my palm and press. So now I have all my shaped leaves, and I'm actually just going to stick them to the card. So I'm getting some shape and some depth to my card, but without using an embossing folder or stamps. So I hope you're going to play with this idea. So I don't need much glue on these because I want the edges to still stick up, but I'm just going to cover the base card with some of these overlapping clovers. You can get 3, might be best actually, across. Beauty of having just a little bit of glue in the middle is that I can move these gently before they've stuck down fully. There we go. Yeah, I think 3 across is okay, and then I'll some more underneath. Sticking these on the other way up, as you can see, because it's the clover bits I want to stick out around the card. I've got a spare one because I did 7, and I actually only need 6 to cover that card. Okay. So then I'm going to stick my strip across, not right in the middle. It doesn't look right somehow, just a little bit lower than there. So I'm going to stick it to here. I might use tape. Where's my tape? Rather than Tombow for this, actually. I think it'll stick better, given it's sticking across the ends of those clovers. You can see why I didn't bother about having too much of a stem on them, because that's going to be hidden anyway. I don't need to see those. So taking the back off my strip, I'm going to have to be quite careful to get this level, because it's going to stick. I haven't got the wiggle room that I've got with Tombow. There. So can you see how sticking those clovers on gives interest to the background really quickly and simply? And I don't need to worry about it. I've got one more. I might use that, we'll see. But the first thing I'm going to do is stick this down. Again, I'm going to use just a couple of bits of tape on the back of this stitched circle. It was hard to say stitched circle. Really odd. And then 7 dimensionals on my clover. This is the one I stamped when I did the two together to save a bit of time. And I've just realised, before that's fully stuck down, oh, I can actually get in because I've used tape. That's nice, because I was going to stick my St. Patrick's Day stamp that, there we go, my St. Patrick's Day under my thing here. Let me just do a chevron. I'm going to do it guesswork instead of measure it this time. Ooh, thankfully not too bad. It doesn't need to be that long. And then I'm going to leave this dangling. I'm just going to stick it at one end. So I just want to show you how I shape these things. If you use the edge of your bone folder and just run it underneath, it curls the card. So I usually do one way, one the other. And that gives me a nice shape, which I can then stick onto my card. So that is just going to go under here. It's not too long. Might need to just close my chevron down a bit and push this in a little bit further. This was my problem. I shouldn't have stuck that down before I put that on. Never mind. There we go. So I'm going to cut the chevron down because it will stick out of my card a little bit. So I'm going to make it a little bit shallower and narrower. This is adapting as we go, folks. There we go. So that will now fit in the envelope. Always a good thing. I could have moved that across a little bit, actually. That might have looked better. But anyway, there we have my little banner thing. I've got a spare one of these. Shall I use it? Yeah, why not? There. Yeah, quite like that. So bring it closer so you can see it. So I hope you enjoyed these ideas for St. Patrick's Day cards. There's one we've just made. Chloe's might have Floraline in it. Let's get the others back to show you. So I'll bring them close so you can see them properly. That's one. Here's the one that is really quick and simple. I can't get it in the middle. There we go. Really quick and simple, just using a couple of strips of DSP and a couple of strips of ribbon. That one's really simple to do and quick. Then another one on a similar idea. You can see I'm using the same basic principle of a strip of DSP, a coloured background, a shape to show off the four-leaf clover, and then the sentiment. And then this was the one that was a little bit less usual. I've done my own background by stamping and using the stamping off technique. And then I've used tags to stick on the front, just with the sentiment along the bottom. So I hope you enjoyed those and they've given you some ideas to make your own St. Patrick's Day card. I do love this set. It's a really lovely set. It comes as the bundle. So if you're interested in buying from me, then obviously do get in touch. And please remember, subscribe to my YouTube channel to see lots of other videos and lots of other things that I've put together on there. And they will come up very regularly. And sign up on my website, craftycarolscards.co.uk. Let me just put me back in so I can actually talk to you properly. There we go. Sign up at craftycarolscards.co.uk and you'll get my regular emails, which will tell you what we're doing and when we're doing it. So I hope to be back in a couple of weeks live. And I can't remember the dates. I have set the dates out. 2 weeks might be my in-person class, actually, but I'll let you know. It'll either be next week or in a couple of weeks. I intend to do these lives a couple of times a month and for people who can't get to in-person classes. And keep an eye on the emails, because it'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm just changing things up at the moment. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching it if you're watching it on record, and I will see you again very soon. Bye for now.